Good evening. So I wanted to record an update video about my past one about the guilt tripping loved ones. For my very limited viewership who may have watched that, or whenever you come across any of these videos, I just figured that, continuing up with a story and, adding some closure to it would certainly be a good idea. So if you haven't watched the first video, go ahead and watch that to get some more of the story. But essentially, all those things I spoke about with the restaurant and the misbehavior and stuff, and like I said, the final thing where I drew the line in the sand and said the things that I did and did the things that I did, that was on a Thursday. That was not this Thursday. This was like last week. It's been about a week since I uploaded the video. But yeah, that was on a Thursday that all that happened. And like I said, my friend who was having the issues, who was guilt tripping us, and he lives with another one of my really close friends, and they work together in the same kitchen. So I had heard that going home that night after the whole thing happened, my friend with the alcohol problem, that was enough to push him over the edge and try to take things his way with getting sober. And I just want to go ahead and preface this by saying I'm sharing this for, as I said, adding context and closure to the story purposes. I don't necessarily recommend this. I wouldn't recommend against it. I mean, I'm just sharing a story here so that you can kind of play your own situation by ear. But what we said and what we did accomplished what we were trying to do. And from Thursday until Sunday, my roommate, my friend, the roommate, I wish I could use names because that makes things so much easier and more simple, but I was told that my friend with the alcoholic problem didn't touch a drink from Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, just because he realized how that was beginning to get in the middle of relationships and things like that. And Sunday at work, my friend calls me randomly. I'm sitting on the couch watching a movie with my dad, and I get a call from my friend, and I'm thinking, oh, he's at work. My other friend who works with the friend with the problem, and he's like, yo bro, send me his parents' phone numbers. I was like, what's up bro, what's up? And he goes like, he's having like some health problems at work, bro, and we called 911, and we got the ambulance to come pick him up. I need to let his parents know where he's going. And so I wasn't there. I didn't see this with my own two eyes. My friend who called me described it as he had a seizure. He described the series of events. My one friend comes up to come talk to him and says, yo, I'm not feeling so good, bro. Of course, it probably had a lot to do with the withdrawal of being sober for 3 days after heavily, drinking for all the time that I talked about initially. But he said that he started to slowly, kind of fall back, and my one friend caught him and lowered him to the ground a little bit, and then he came to be it wasn't and I'm not gonna reenact that because that'd be disrespectful to anybody who's dealt with that, but it wasn't when you think of a seizure, it wasn't like that. But I'm just hearing, yo, he had a seizure, he's going to the hospital. So I'm starting to be like, there's something to be said about wanting what's best for somebody and speaking your mind and not sugarcoating things. But I thought there in my mind, like I said, just raw reaction. I hear, yo, he's having a stroke. I'm thinking, if he doesn't make it, that day is the last, memory that I'm going to have of his life. And it would have been a spoiler alert, he's not dead, but it would have been a very tough thing to think about for the rest of my life, because on one hand, you have me trying to do what I believe is the right thing and being hard on him, trying to get him to make a change. but on the other hand, I was hard on him when he's going through something. So lo and behold, gets to the hospital, gets tested. It wasn't a seizure, and I still don't know what it was because I actually had a very brief chance to speak to him since this happened. But his parents get there, and I can't remember if I mentioned it in the other video or not, but basically my friend, one of his biggest complications was that he wanted to get help for a long time, but he did not want to involve his family into it because his family had a long line of alcoholics, and he felt ashamed. And we can all understand if you're dealing with something serious, sometimes it's hard to bring things to your loved ones because you don't want to be judged, you don't want to be a burden, whatever. But ironically enough, my friend's dad is in the rehab industry, and so when he was getting tested at the hospital, he just came clean to his parents while they were there because he had a medical scare. And my friend's dad was not, irritated or anything, and he got shipped off to rehab on Monday, and he's gonna be there for, well, it's already been about a week, 3 more weeks. He's gonna be at rehab, and hopefully, God willing, he comes back and all the things he was struggling with from the substance side are taken care of, and we can live the rest of our life burden free. But I tell all of this because I spoke about what it's like to be guilt tripped by someone you're trying to help, and like I said, someone who smokes cigarettes that you care about, somebody that weight loss, or even the drinking. It's a very, very tough thing to do in somebody's position where you care about what ends up happening to somebody while they're doing something difficult that you may not feel like is necessarily your business or your place, or it's your place, but it's so difficult because you don't want to cause this tension. But if I didn't do the things, and listen, God is the entire reason that he is getting the help he needs right now. And God is the only reason that he had the health scare and he's completely healthy. So I don't want this to come out of context and be like, well, I saved him and I did this. But I'm just saying, the part that I played in getting my friend help was, like I said, I pushed him. I wanted him to be better. I knew he deserved better. I knew that he could beat this thing he was going with. And like I said at the beginning of the video, we got very lucky, and I don't recommend against this because somebody's health scare of withdrawal, people can die from that. And I never said you need to quit cold turkey, but that's what he decided to do. And we were fortunate enough for him to have enough of a health episode to go and need to get checked out physically to where he had the opportunity to open up to his family. But if he didn't quit cold turkey, he may have never ended up in the situation where he had to come clean and he had no choice but to, do the thing. So I say that because not everybody's going to be in the same position as me, but I guarantee you that his friends, that night that happened on Thursday is what led to the Sunday thing happening. And that's just a testament to, of course, not going too far, but when you care about people, you have to be okay with the uncomfortable conversations. You have to be okay with the uncomfortable actions. And as I said, because of what I said and the things that I said, and I was not the only one in this. I have a bunch of friends who aren't here right now to speak on this, but I'm just saying from my own perspective and my own duty, I put him in a place with me in his relationship where he made the choice that he needed to address this. And because he made that choice, put him into a situation where his health was at risk, which put him in a situation where he had no choice but to get help. And as I said, I'm thankful to God that happened, because otherwise he may have just been drinking this entire week and things would have been worse. So I say all this to say that's an update to what I said before. This is an example of an outcome that can happen when you do the things that I said that I did. Once again, everybody's different. I was open to feedback last time. I'm open to feedback this time, because I know it's a difficult thing, right? Well, yeah, push your friends so hard to where they put their health at risk to get better. And I understand, like I said, we were very fortunate, and this is a very specific circumstance, but my friend's in a better place now. He's gonna be gone for another 3 weeks, and I'm so happy for him that he's going to be able to get this weight lifted off of his shoulder, and that we can live the rest of our life and rebuild some of the areas of our relationship that may have began to crack over time just because of the circumstances of everything that happened. But this was just an update to the situation. I hope that you can learn something from this, or that you listen to this, and like I said, just share some feedback below. I'm not perfect, nobody's perfect, and I would love to evolve, and I would love to learn, if God decides to put me in this situation again. So I appreciate your time watching.